Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome into the 143. This is episode 182. We're coming at you live. Nick, how are we doing today?
We're doing good midway through the baseball season, and we're just going over the All-Star rosters. A lot to unpack, but still a lot of season left to be played. That's what we got for you.
Yeah, All-Star rosters released. We're going to go through them like we normally do every year. This year, Rangers didn't cut it, still aren't cutting it. So this isn't focused on the Rangers at all. We're just going to talk to you about some baseball for the next couple weeks, as next week will be our mid-season update kind of episode. But today we're going to focus solely on the All-Stars that have been selected for the game. Start us off with the stat of the week, brought to you by our sponsor, Andrews Logistics. Look, this isn't about baseball, but we got to talk about him every time he does something. This past weekend was the 4th of July, which means it was time for Joey Jaws Chestnut to show up. In his return to the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, he took his 17th World Championship, which is a record.
No surprise there.
70 and a half hot dogs.
Yep.
Nobody got even close. The second place was 45. So, big under review goat here.
Celebrity for us.
Yeah.
Just because there's nobody that's dominant
No.
in their craft as what he does. A lot of hype around it this year because he was not a participant last year, and in his return, he returns where he rightfully belongs, and that is seated on the throne. Nobody was surprised. It was like, oh, he's back. That means the title. He's winning the hot mustard. What do they call it? The Nathan's mustard belt or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know
what exactly the championship is, but it's like, hey, no surprises there.
Nope.
Player of the week is Jacob deGrom, as he is the Rangers' only All-Star who has been wheeling and dealing in the 2025 season. 2.29 ERA, 9-2 record. Obviously, people say that pitching is not, or wins is not a pitching stat, but you can say with that what you want. 105 strikeouts, and he has a whip of .91. So, needless to say, he has been wheeling and dealing for us. Obviously, one of the few bright spots on the Rangers roster. Pitching as a whole, I think we've mentioned it every single time we talk about baseball. Pitching as a whole has been great, but all other aspects are very subpar.
Yeah, only one snub from the Rangers, really. Nathan Eovaldi deserved to be an all-star as well, just based on all his stats this year. But the big thing with Jacob deGrom is coming off his second Tommy John surgery this season. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be back to kind of the old Jacob deGrom, and I'm not saying he is all the way back to the old Jacob deGrom, but he looks really good right now, and he's kind of looking – he's got really good control, really good velocity. He's gone deep into games. He's been phenomenal for the Rangers. Obviously, pitchers can't score runs. That's the problem for the Rangers right now. But we're not here to talk about that. Congrats to Jacob deGrom for being Player of the Week. Let's dive into the All-Star rosters. Me and Nick were talking before. I think, for the most part, we got it right this year. I think last year and the years before, our biggest complaint has been like these guys that don't really deserve to be in, but are just it based off of very past
their reputation.
Their reputation. Kind of like, we love Mike Trout. Mike Trout has been in a couple All-Star games where maybe he didn't need to be. Kind of that example. I think it's pretty accurate this year on which guys are good. And obviously with the All-Star game, the starters and most of the guys that get in come from the teams that are kind of towards the top, the teams that have been playing really well, because those guys have been playing really well themselves. So anything that stands out to you, Nick, just taking a glance at those two rosters?
From top to bottom, the three that you can, really four, you can say, no surprises there. Cal Raleigh, he's been the best catcher all season. Like I said,
he's been
no surprises there. Vlad Guerrero Jr. He's had that first base on lockdown for the
Hmm.
American League for the past couple seasons. Jose Ramirez, same thing at third base in the American League. He's had that on lock for pretty much the entirety of his
Yeah,
career in the
I mean,
league.
he's a beast. He
Like
deserves it every
10
year.
years or
Yeah,
whatever, how long his tenure is. And then Aaron Judge, that's another one where it's like, yeah, all right, no surprises there. Just because those are people that have been Cal Raleigh's been standalone in his
this
position
season.
all year, so you
Yeah,
knew it. And then Vlad Guerrero Jr., Jose Ramirez, and Aaron Judge, those are people that have
yeah.
been there, done that, and are still doing it as we speak. So
Um,
those are the ones that you can just kind of not discount, but it's just that's what that's what you'd expect.
I think a lot of times the biggest thing that I look for is like it's fan voting part of it. So I'm like, these small market teams, these guys that are playing really good, sometimes you can see some snubs. And I think I'm looking at the AL right now. Jacob Wilson, shortstop for the A's. Dude's having a phenomenal season. Absolutely deserves the starting spot as short for the AL. I'm very shocked that he got the starting spot just based off of the voting we've seen in the
Just
past.
because he's an athletic, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a very small market team. Nobody really knows his name as much. But also the Detroit boys and Riley Green. Javi Baez, is great to see him back in the All-Star game. What a comeback he's had. Playing outfield now, playing center. He's been a beast. He's been killing it at the plate. And then Ryan O'Hearn for Baltimore is also having a great season, even though Baltimore's not having as good of a season. He's kind of come out and really taking it by storm. I don't really disagree with any of the starters here for the AL at all. I like that they got the Detroit boys and they got, Jacob Wilson from the A's in there and Ryan O'Hearn, as well as the guys, like you said, that have kind of cemented themselves, and that's kind of their spot to lose at this point. We'll just
Detroit's
go to
on the up and up. You're not used to seeing three Detroit starters. Obviously, with Javi Baez, he's been an infielder for 90% of his career. When he was with the Cubs, he played a little bit of third, a little bit of short, a little bit of second, and then same thing with the Mets. He's a shortstop, and then when he first comes into Detroit, he's a shortstop, but he was just horrible for a 3-4 season stretch between New York and Detroit that they had to make a change. And credit to him, who, he's an all-star starter. So, you can't really complain with the performance he's putting out there on the field.
No, going over to the NL starters, you see a lot of Dodgers, or you have three Dodgers in the starting lineup with Will Smith on the plate, Freddie Freeman, first base. Kind of the same thing with Freddie. It's like his spot to lose in the All-Star game. Freddie Freeman dominates year in and year out. And then Shohei in the DH spot, which, he's not an under-review favorite, but he definitely should be the starting DH for the National League just because, he is the best DH right now in the National League. I think he's got like 31 homers at this point. And, he's raking. Obviously, the pitching's not there yet. They're slowly working him back, but you've got the Dodgers. I think Manny Machado at third base. It's always great to see Manny Machado in the All-Star game. That guy's been doing it for so long now, and he's still got it. I like seeing Acuna in the outfield, Lindor at short. But the biggest kind of team that shocked everybody with how good they are this year is the Cubs. And so Pete Crow Armstrong, this guy kind of came out of nowhere, or at least to me he did. Yeah, he's a beast at the plate and in the outfield, as well as Kyle Tucker, who we knew was good, but we had to hate him before. Now he's on the Cubs, tearing it up out there in Chicago, and we don't really have any feelings about him anymore.
Yeah, PCA, he's making a case for National League MVP. Mm-hmm. He got called up later in the season last year, and you saw sparks, glimmers, or whatever you want to say, of juice to where it's like, okay, this kid could be something special. And then this year, from day one to now, he has been absolutely insane. A Gold Glove outfielder, and he's making a strong case for maybe being a silver slugger. I mean, he's been hitting it. He's been fielding it. Good to see him out there just because that's kind of a new name, seeing a young star, because a lot of these names down here, it's people that we have seen for a good bit. I mean, Kyle Tucker, obviously we've seen him a lot in the AL.
Yep.
Will Smith, you see him here and there, and then Freddie Freeman, Ketel Marte, Manny Machado, Francisco Lindor, Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, all those are people that have been here, done that, but it's nice to see a new name. And then it's nice to have the Cubs good, because that's just an iconic franchise. They've been they were starved for so long, and then they won it in 2016, and then they sold the team, and they were horrible, and then things started looking up last year, and then they've just built on that even more this year. So, it's nice to see them on the up and up.
I feel the same way about the Cubs being good that I do with the Tigers being good. I think it's good for baseball when when teams like that are good. Also, it's just, I'm happy for the teams whose fans just aren't super annoying. And it's like Houston's really good right now, but they have the most annoying fans in sports. So
obviously nobody likes them.
Nobody likes them, and we hate them because they're our rivals. But I mean, I think it says something, Nick, when the entire sports world hates you and your fans.
It's not just us. Obviously, we're being completely biased because that's a division rival. But objectively, if you look at it from just the MLB's point of view, I mean, they're just a disliked fan base.
Yep, and it's for a reason. But the fan bases of the Cubs, they're just a loyal fan base. They've been through it recently with their team. Other than their World Series win, I mean, immediately after that, it seemed they went into rebuild for some reason. Nobody knows why, but it seems to have paid off now as they're making a case to be contenders.
10 years later?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's good to see these teams good. I really love that Acuna kind of came off of his big injury. And he just started slashing out there, and it's great to see him back, and he's a starter. And I think anytime he's in the All-Star game, and I think he's in the Home Run Derby as well. Or am I wrong about that?
No, I believe he is as well.
Yeah, so anytime
I haven't looked completely at that lineup yet, but
yeah, so it's good to see him. And there, obviously, you've got a bunch of reserves for both teams. I think one person per team has to make it, right? Is that an all-star rule? Yeah. So,
yeah, and so obviously some of these reserves are just
best player on their team kind of deal.
Yeah. That's how it was for the Rangers for there was like a 3 to 4 year span in there where we were just reserve players, and so that's
to be fair, it happened to us this year again, but Jacob deGrom is 100% deserving to go to the All-Star game. I mean, he's not only the best player performing on the team right now, but also he's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's a little different. But, yeah, what you're saying is just we had awful players, and one of them got to go every year. So, I will say, let me just point this out. We've got 5 people as of today confirmed for the Home Run Derby. Ronald Acuna Jr., Cal Raleigh, James Wood, Byron Buxton, and O'Neal Cruz. Some guys that could really put
a charge into one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Should be good. But yeah, so I'm interested to see the All-Star game. It's really just all fun. It's not, nobody takes it that seriously. But I will say, out of all the sports, I think the MLB All-Star game is the only one that they can take a little bit seriously and not worry about injuries. So, the game's all fun.
It's kind of hard to loaf around and lollygag out there. Obviously, we are pulling hard for the American League because that's where our heart resides, because that's where our team is, and we usually dominate. Just you look at the past tenure of the All-Star game, All-Star games. That's where we shine. So we're looking forward to that.
Let me ask you this. On both sides, who do you think should be starting pitcher number 1? I'm looking at this AL list, and I just know Houston fans are going to scream that Hunter Brown needs to be starting the All-Star game. And I disagree, and I'm going to put a name out there that I think should be universally accepted by everyone but Houston fans, and it's Skubal.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
what I was going to say.
And if Skubal isn't the starting pitcher in this game, I'm just not going to be having it. Because I think it is between him and Brown.
I mean, but obviously Skubal is the first name that catches your eye, and then I'm just glancing over all the other names on here on this list, and I'm not seeing anybody that's better than him.
No.
Obviously, nationally, Paul Skeens.
It's got to be Skeens. It's got to be Skeens. Skeens has, I think I saw something like, since he got to baseball, like a 192 ERA or something. That's over the last, year and a half. And, I saw the other day he pitched like a, one-run kind of game. I don't think the run was earned. And he had like 10 strikeouts and they lost the game 1-0. I mean, give Skeens his flowers right now since he's really having to put up with a ton in Pittsburgh. The guy's having phenomenal outing after phenomenal.
He sounds like a Texas Ranger to me. I don't know.
Yeah. He might like it more over here though, Maybe we should pitch that to him.
We give our pitchers the same treatment, so he'd be used to it.
He would. But I think Skeens, the other guy though that could make a serious case for the starter would be Zach Wheeler, who's also having a career year.
Yeah. So,
I do think they give it to Skeens for the starting job as well. But yeah, I mean, the rest of these guys, we're not going to go into in depth, but congrats to everybody that made the All-Star game. I think there's going to be some changes here and there with guys injury-wise and pulling out of the game. And, they're going to sneak some subs in there here and there. But these are the guys that have gotten the votes to earn their spot. Mm-hmm. And, congrats to them. Obviously, Josh Smith, he's going to get in one of these years. Just keeps
getting robbed.
Yeah, he does.
A name we were talking about off air was Aroldis Chapman, just because he's been doing it for a while on a bunch of different teams. Props to him for sticking around. Been through like 5 different clubs. I can't even. That was just a loose number off the top of my head. I can't even remember, but he's done it a lot, sitting there in that relief pitcher slot. So we're just gonna give him a quick shout out, and obviously he's got a special place here in Texas because
absolutely, man.
Anybody on that World Series roster,
here's that ring.
It's like you got a home here, whether you spent half a season or 5 seasons building up to it. It doesn't matter.
You ever need a place to stay? Me and Nick's places are available.
I have a couch. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Same here, and it's always open.
Exactly. So, anyways, here's like to end our shows in under review. I brought you a quote from the Brooks Robinson, and he said, "If you're not practicing, somebody else is somewhere, and he'll be ready to take your job."
Ain't that the truth? And we thank you for tuning in this week. We'll see you next week with another baseball episode here on Under Review.